I must apologize. My throat is very dry. I need to take care of this thirst I have. And he walked away. And he left the satchel there. Oh, very quickly the thief reached out, grabbed the silver stone, put it in the leather pouch that he wore on his belt. And nobody seemed to notice. Nobody seemed to be watching even. And he reached out and he grabbed another handful and put them in there. And he kept watching and nobody cared, so he took another one. And then he decided he would better leave, and he made his way. And as he was going out of the room, the tale teller was coming in the room, and the tale teller noticed the thief, and he sighed and stroked his beard. Well, the thief made his way right away to a jeweler's home. He woke him up and he said, "What will you give me for this?" And he held out that silver rock, and the jeweler said, "Nothing. It's common stone. Find it anywhere along the side of the road." "What? No, oh." He took his bag and he dumped the stones out onto the table, and what had been precious stones suddenly looked like common pebbles. I don't understand. In the hands of the tale teller, these stones look very different. "Oh, that'll explain it." That explains it, said the jeweler. He said, "These are story stones. Did you listen to the stories?" "Well, no. Without the stories, they're worthless." "It's late. I'm going back to bed. Goodbye." And he escorted the thief out the door, shut the door, and turned off the light. Back at the great hall, the tale teller was ready to begin another story, and he said, "Can I tell?" He starts scanning the audience to see what he needed to tell, and his eyes came to rest on that peasant girl. And he said, "I know the story she needs." He reached in and he took a stone, and he thought to himself, he says, "She needs a heart-healing story," and he placed that stone over her heart. He began, "In a certain time, in a certain place, there lived a peasant girl." And he wove the story in and out and up and down, and his eyes never left her eyes. It was as if they were the only ones in the room. And when he finished, he put the stone back in the satchel. She made her way to the table and she said, "Please, sir, could you come to my home and tell that story to my sister? She's very ill. It would make her feel so good. Could you please come tell it?" And he said, "No." He picked up the stone. He says, "I think you need to tell her this story." And he put the stone in her hand and she clutched it. "Thank you." And she almost ran from the hall. She went home as quickly as she could, and she went into where they lived, and her sister lay on her bed, and she was feverish and weak and had a racking cough. And she said, "Sister, I have brought something special for you." And she opened her hand to show her, and she saw a rock. She closed her hand quickly because she didn't want her sister to know, and she thought, "I'll just have to do the best I can." So she closed the hand over her heart, and she took a breath, and all of a sudden the images that the tale teller had given her in his story flooded over her, and she began, "In a certain time, in a certain place, there lived a peasant girl." And she told about these images that were in her head. And yes, her words fumbled and she fell over them once in a while, but she told the story. And when she finished, and took the stone away, she looked at her sister. Her face was radiant. Can you tell it again? Of course. And she put the stone back and she started again, and this time when she told it, it went quite a bit smoother. And when she finished it the second time, her sister said, this is more nourishment than any food I could have had. Can you tell it again? Of course. And she put the stone back and she told the story again and again and again and again. She told it all through the night. The next morning when the sun shone through the windows, it shone down on the heads of two sleeping girls. And in the hand of one of them was a stone of the purest gold.